Welcome back. We'll be doing polynomial long division today. So we finished addition, subtraction, multiplication, and now we'll be doing division. So let's jump right into the problem sets. We will be doing one from each problem. So number 1a asks me to divide this polynomial right here by this guy right here, this binomial on the side. So when I'm setting up my long division, it's important to know what goes where, what goes inside, what goes outside. So the first expression, this long polynomial, is always going to go inside the long division. And the guy I'm dividing by, this piece here at the end called the divisor, this will go outside, okay, outside. So I'm just going to rewrite them with my divisor outside. That's 3n minus 6. And inside I'll have 3n cubed plus 15n squared minus 57n plus 36. Okay. So we've done long division before, or you've done long division before back in Algebra 1. You might remember it, you might not, but it looks something like this. If I want to divide 316 divided by 5, I would set it up like this. The guy I'm dividing by, my divisor, goes outside, and 316 is inside. Okay, so how do we begin? Well, I'm looking at the number outside, and I want to see how many times does 5 go inside of 31, as many times as I can without going over. And the answer would be 6. So similarly, I want to look out here. I want to see how many times does this fit into this expression. Except I'm going to focus only on the first term. This is what makes polynomial long division more complicated than regular numerical long division, is that there's multiple terms. So you need to focus on the first term, on the leading term. So I want to see how many times does 3n go into 3n cubed. Let me word that a different way. If I have 3n, but I need 3n cubed, well then 3n times what will give me 3n cubed? The answer would be n squared. 3n times n squared would give me 3n cubed. So I'm going to put my n squared, it's kind of like my 6 here, it's my answer. I'm going to put it up top, but I'm going to align it with the degree 2 because n squared has a power of 2. So we'll line it up. Now, just like before in our regular division, once we have that number, we multiply it back and then write our answer underneath. So similarly, I'm going to multiply n squared times this whole expression, not just the first term, but the whole expression, which is 3n minus 6. So you kind of want to treat this like as parentheses. Okay, I want to distribute this, so it should multiply by this guy and by this guy. So n squared times 3n is 3n cubed, and that should match, because remember, we got this by seeing 3n times what will give us the number, so it should always match. And then my second term is n squared times minus 6, which is minus 6n squared. Whoops, I forgot my cubed there. Okay, now what do we do next? Once I have the number down below, we subtract, and we write our answer here. So similarly, we're going to subtract and write our answer underneath. However, I'm subtracting this entire expression. So I either need to use parentheses and then distribute, or since I already know that when I have a minus out in front and I'm multiplying by -1, all my signs are just going to flip. So instead of writing a minus outside, I'm just going to flip all my signs. That'll become a minus 3n cubed. That'll become a plus 6n squared. Okay, now we're just gonna add down. So 3n cubed minus 3n cubed, those guys disappear, and they will always disappear. This must happen. And then we'll add down 15n squared plus 6n squared. That'll give us 21n squared. Once I have this answer, which was a 1, we bring down the next term. Same here. I'm done. I'm going to bring down my next term, which is a minus 57n. Okay, so we're facing the same problem that we had before. Now we need to focus on the first term. I have a 3n. I need a 21n squared. So 3n times what? What am I going to put here? That will give me 21n squared. Well, 3 times 7, or positive 7, we have to have the sign. This is important. 3 times positive 7 gives me 21, and n times n will give me my n squared. And now once I write this here, as before, we'll distribute. It's got to go to both. So 7n times 3n is 21n squared. 7n times minus 6 is minus 42n. Now I'm going to subtract, which means I flip my signs and write my answer below. 21n squareds cancel. Minus 57 plus 42n leaves me with a minus 15n. All right, let's bring down the next guy. Plus 36. So as before, I have a 3n. I need a minus 15n. 3n times what? What goes here? 3n times what gives me minus 15n? It's minus 5. Okay, so now when I distribute it out, minus 5 times 3n is minus 15n. Minus 5 times minus 6 is plus 30. I'm going to subtract, meaning I am flipping the signs, and add downwards. So these go. And then plus 36 minus 30 is a positive 6. And whatever happens, let's look back here really fast. When I did the 6 times 5, I got 30. I got a 1, brought down the 6. Okay, now 5 times what gives me as close to 16 as possible? That'd be 3, multiply. And now I'm done, but I have this extra number at the end. So see if you remember from Algebra 1 what we do with that number, or what's it called? Well, its name is the remainder. So that number you're left with at the end when you run out of terms, so we already used our last term, we're done. That number is called the remainder. So we got a remainder of 6. But the proper way to finish the question is then to take your remainder and put it over your divisor. So the answer here would have been 63 1/5. In this case, our answer is going to be, we have to have the sign, so plus 6, and our divisor is 3n minus 6. And this would be my full answer. Whoops, I thought I was highlighting. Okay, there you go. So this is our solution highlighted in blue, but this would be my if I just asked you for the remainder, it would be 6. Okay, it would be the numerator of the last term in our solution. Great, let's do another problem. Number 2 says, okay, here's f, g, and h of m, and we want to find f of m divided by h of m. So the thing I'm dividing by, so I'm doing f of m divided by h of m, this would be my divisor, so that goes on the outside. It's kind of like h of m is out here, and then f of m is inside. Now, I don't want to write it like this. I'm going to go ahead and replace it immediately. My divisor is m plus 4, and f of m is 3m squared minus 5m plus 1. All right. So here we go. We're focusing on only the first terms. So m times what is going to give me 3m squared? Answer, 3m. M times 3m. Now, I put that 3m here or here? Well, since my answer is 3m with a power of 1, I need to line it up with the proper like term. So 3m goes here. Next, remember we distribute it. So that'll give me 3m squared plus 12m. I did 3m times m and 3m times plus 4. Okay, I need to subtract, meaning I'm flipping the signs. So 3m squared minus 3m squared, that disappears. minus 5m minus 12m is minus 17m. I'm warning you right now that flipping both signs is a super common mistake. So watch out. Common error is people only flip the first sign. They put a minus in front. But you really need to flip both signs. Must flip both signs. Okay, so next up we're going to bring down that 1. And our question is, m times what? We're focusing on the first term. Gives me minus 17m. Answer, minus 17. And now we got to distribute that. Okay, so minus 17 times m. And minus 17 times positive 4 is, let's see on the side, 68. And that was positive or negative? Wait, minus 17, positive 4. So that's negative 68. Okay, now I've got to subtract, so flip the signs. Minus 17 times plus 17 goes away. Plus 1 plus 68 is 69. That 69 has a special name. It's my remainder. And as we did before, that means I'm going to put, this is a positive 69, so plus 69 over my divisor. And this is my answer. So make a note to yourself. We're always writing our answer plus or minus, if it's a negative remainder, the remainder over the divisor. And we've done this now for 2 problems in a row where we had a remainder. So the remainder goes over our divisor, 69 over m plus 4. Over here it was 6 over 3n minus 6. Okay, let's do another. Okay, number 3 is a word problem. Now the trick with word problems is that you just need to find a relationship. You need to write out a relationship between the variables that you're working with. Let's read the question. I have a rectangular prism, so I've drawn it below, which has this volume. Okay, the volume is given. Now, if the height, that's another variable that I'm given, the height is 2m plus 1, it wants me to find the area of the base. Okay, find the area of the base. So I'm given really 3 pieces of information. I'm given a volume, I'm given a height, and I'm given an area. So our job as problem solvers is to come up with a relationship between volume, height, and area. Well, I don't know about a relationship between volume and area, but I do know they're separate relationships. I know that volume is equal to length times width times height. And I know that if I'm looking at this rectangular prism, this would be, it doesn't matter which is which really, but this could be my length, that could be my width, and this here could be my height. Now when they say, so we've got a relationship between volume and height at least. Now we want the area of the base. So let's see what the area of the base would be. This would be like my base of this rectangular prism. So I'm just drawing it in so to help visualize. The area of the base is this piece right here. What is the area? So our area is simply going to be my length times my width. So I'm going to write that in. Length times width. Now notice this interesting overlap. The length times width, that is my area, also appears in my volume formula. So I am going to rewrite the volume so that I have a relationship between volume, height, and area, just like it asked for in the question. So volume equals, now instead of length times width, I'm just going to write area, because they are equivalent, times height. So all of that is just to set up. So my volume is going to equal my area times my height. Once I have established, so we just found a relationship. Once I've established the relationship between the variables in my question, it's time to substitute. So we know what the volume is. They gave that information to us. It's 2m cubed minus 9m squared plus m plus 3. So I've substituted there, and I know what the height is. So area is still what I got to find. It says find the area, so I can't plug in for area. That's what I need to find. But I know that my height is 2m plus 1. So if I know this information, but I need to solve for area, that means I need to get area by itself. Well, area is being multiplied by 2m plus 1, so to isolate area, to get it by itself, I'm just going to divide both sides by 2m plus 1. Divide. And that's going to leave me with area all by itself. So if I rewrite this really quick, I could see that the area of the base is actually equivalent to this division right here. Now, it would be really nice if that was our answer, but we actually have techniques now to solve, to simplify this. So I'm going to go over to the side and use my long division. So remember, our divisor goes outside, and the long polynomial goes inside. So we will approach this like we've done with the last two. I have a 2m, I need a 2m cubed. 2m times what gives me 2m cubed? That's m squared, and I'm lining, that's m squared, and I'm lining it up with the other m squared like term. And I'm going to distribute it in to both. So that's 2m cubed, and then m squared times plus 1 is plus m squared. Flip the signs. These guys will cancel, and then minus 9m squared minus m squared is minus 10m squared. Bring down the plus m. I have a 2m, I need a minus 10m. So 2m times what gives me minus 10m? That's a minus 5m. Minus 5 times 2 is minus 10. M times m is m squared. And then minus 5m times positive 1 is just itself. I'm going to subtract and flip my signs. These will cancel. And then I'm left with a 6m, bring down the plus 3. We're really close to being done. We only have one more spot and then potentially a remainder. So we're almost done. So 2m times what gives me 6m? It's positive 3. Don't forget to distribute it out. 3 times 2m is 6m. 3 times 1 is plus 3. So I need to subtract and flip my signs. This cancels, and then 3 minus 3 cancels, and I have a remainder of 0. So that's nice. I got a nice even answer this time. So the area is equal to this big division problem, which we have simplified down to just m squared minus 5m plus 3. That would be the final answer. Okay, last problem. So the question here just says find the remainder. Well, we've done that a couple times now where we actually solved the entire problem. Now they only want the remainder. So let's look back at a couple of the problems we just did, identify our remainder. Here, our remainder is not this entire expression. That's our solution. Our remainder was just the 6. It was basically the last number that we had left over. In this case, our remainder was the 69. In this case, our remainder was 0, nothing. So let's just do this problem and remember that at the end, I'm looking for a single number. When we say find the remainder, we're talking about a single leftover number. Okay, so let's rewrite this. This is the guy I'm dividing by. He goes outside my divisor. So x squared plus 2x minus 1 is going into x to the 4th plus 5x cubed plus 9x squared Oh wow, this is pretty long. That's okay. All right, we got this. So this is the first time that we see a trinomial out here, but that's fine. It's no different from before. We're still going to just focus on the first terms. So I have an x squared. I need an x to the fourth. X squared times what will give me x to the fourth? That'd be an x squared, and I need to line it up with its like term, like that. And as always, I'm just going to multiply it out, making sure to get all three terms. Remember, we're distributing here. At this point, we're distributing. And we're going to write our answer right there. So x squared times x squared is x to the fourth. X squared times 2x is plus 2x cubed. And x squared times minus 1 is minus x squared. Now, I'm drawing these spaghetti lines to help you visualize, but you might not do that every time. It'll get really messy really quickly. But remember that once you're done with your three terms, you're going to subtract and flip your signs. Okay. So I like to scribble out my plus signs and write the minus. And when I have a minus sign, I flip it to a positive just by adding the line through it. All right, so x to the fourth minus x to the fourth, these cancel. 5x cubed minus 2x cubed is 3x cubed, and 9x squared plus 1x squared is plus 10x squared. Bring down, as always, the next term. All right, we're focusing on the first terms again. I have an x squared. I need a 3x cubed. Can you figure out x squared times what gives me 3x to the third power? If you said plus 3x, you're correct. So now we are going to multiply it out, making sure to hit all three terms. So 3x times x squared, 3x times plus 2x, and then 3x times minus 1. Now, there's a really easy way to catch yourself if you're making a mistake, because for instance, for second there, I almost just put a 6x and then was going to move on with my life. However, when I go into subtract, these two aren't like terms. So I know I made a mistake because they've got to be like terms. And indeed, I had almost forgotten that x times x is really x squared. So a way to check yourself is to make sure that you have like terms that are lining up so you can actually do the addition or subtraction. Okay, so now I need to subtract, so I need to flip my signs. And going downwards, this cancels. 10x squared minus 6x squared is that, and 5x squared, and 5x plus 3x is plus 8x. I'm not done. I have to bring down the next number always at the end. Okay, here we go. Last round. Okay, so I have an x squared. I need a 4x squared. So that makes this number have to be a 4. 4 times x squared gives me 4x squared. 4 times positive 2x gives me plus 8x. 4 times negative 1 gives me minus 4. And I'm going to flip my signs so I can subtract. Cancels. 8x minus 8x cancels. And minus 4 plus 4 also cancels. So the question asked me for my remainder. In this case, that number that's left over at the end was 0 again, just like in our word problem. So if they had asked me for the answer, I would be fine just giving them this with no remainder. But if they want the remainder, then I have to give them the answer is 0. So if you check the back of the book, you'll see that the answer to this question is 0, because I'm just looking at the remainder. Great. I hope that was helpful for you. I'll see you next time.